Wouldn't it be great if you could make money from doing nothing? Well, that's why so many people are so focused on making passive income. It's exactly what it sounds like, money that you make from doing little to no work. But so many people will not tell you the truth about passive income, or what you can do to generate it without already being either rich or an influencer. This video will teach you 7 different ways of how you can make passive income that practically anyone can do with enough time. If that sounds good, make sure to actively click that like button so that the YouTube algorithm will practically share this video given enough time. While you're down there, please also subscribe and ring the bell if you would like to be notified when new videos come out every Friday. They'll help you live a life you love through personal finance, investing, and self-improvement. Hi, I'm Evan, and I am currently making passive income. We'll cover different ways on how I'm doing that later. But first, let me tell you the truth about passive income. While it sounds great in theory, making enough of it to actually make a significant amount of money requires one of 2 things. Either a lot of money up front or a lot of time. Ultimately, one goal of passive income is to build it up over time, so that way you don't have to make as much money when you're older. This way you can maintain or possibly even improve your lifestyle over time. Now you may be thinking, I want a bunch of passive income right now so that I can be financially independent and retire early. Now while the FIRE method is interesting, it requires a lot of active sacrificing of your lifestyle now so that it might be better in the future. The benefits to the methods in this video are that they don't require active sacrificing of your lifestyle and that they can grow exponentially if you have just 2 things, time and discipline. Let's start with a classic, dividend investing. If you own stock, you have a share of ownership in that company. Companies often reward shareholders with cash payouts that they call dividends. These typically happen every quarter or every 3 months. So if you invest in a company that issues dividends, you can not only benefit from the price of the stock going up over time, but also from your cash payouts. Let's look at 3M, which has a dividend yield of 3.99%. This means that the company pays out approximately 4% of its share value as dividends every year. Currently, for every share of 3M that you own, you would make $1.49 every 3 months or $5.96 per year. Now let's talk about how much passive income that you need. You essentially determine how much money you need within a year to live the lifestyle that you want, and then you build up a guaranteed passive income stream to match that number. So if you're able to live off of $60,000 per year, you would need just over 10,000 shares of 3M to meet this goal. Currently, that would cost you just north of $1.5 million. So most of us probably don't have a spare $1.5 million lying around. This is why we say it takes a high upfront investment or a lot of time in order to build serious passive income. But what we do have is the benefit of time. You can invest into 3M now, and it should increase in price and pay out higher dividend payments as it grows. That will increase both your total wealth and your passive income stream. Also, check out dividend reinvestment plans on how to do both at the same time. The issue with this 3M example, though, is that investing into any single company is pretty risky. There's no diversification. So if 3M goes down, you're out of both a lot of money and your passive income source. You can limit this risk by investing in multiple companies or by picking an ETF or a mutual fund that does this for you. But since there's less risk, the fund's dividend yield is also going to be lower, meaning that you'd have to purchase more shares in order to make the same amount of passive income as compared to the single stock. These lessons are going to apply to your entire passive income portfolio. Make sure to diversify by having different sources of passive income, and understand that lower risk strategies will either require more money or more time to equal the same amount of passive income as a riskier venture. Similar to dividend investing, we have getting into bonds. The best way to get into bonds would be to purchase a high yield bond fund. This will automatically diversify your portfolio and it will limit your risk. These have returns of around 4 to 5.5%. This means that you would need about $1.5 to $1.09 million to make 60 grand a year with high yield bond funds. You can utilize something similar to the dividend reinvestment plan that stocks offer. You can reinvest your bond payments, which are called coupons, back into buying more bonds. This, of course, increases your passive income over time thanks to the beauty of compound interest. It should be noted that in either case, it actually makes more sense as a long-term strategy to invest more so in things that focus on capital appreciation or growing in value. This would be in contrast to investing straight into passive income generating vehicles. This is because your money is able to grow more over time in, say, an S&P 500 index fund than in dividend stocks or high yield bond funds. After, say, 10 years, you could then sell your higher value investments to purchase larger amounts of passive income generating investments. That will then net you more passive income than if you started by just investing into the passive investments. But of course, you should diversify. One intriguing and increasingly popular way to do so is through the crypto markets. I've covered crypto lending platforms a lot in the past, but here's the quick version. Just like with your bank, you can let these platforms hold onto your cryptocurrency, and then they're going to pay you an interest rate for doing so. So if you think that crypto prices are going to rise over time, this is an especially helpful tool to make passive income while your wealth is growing at the same time. I personally use Celsius, which is currently offering interest rates of 7.1% for stablecoins. For regular other US customers. A stablecoin is a cryptocurrency that is pegged to or matches the value of something, typically the US dollar. Most of my crypto is in stablecoins, and all of that is on Celsius. At 7.1%, you'd need just over $845,000 in order to make 60 grand per year. This goes down to $644,000 if you have access to the 9.32% yield for accredited investors. However, this interest rate will be paid out in Celsius's native cell token rather than in stablecoins. And more generally, crypto lending platforms are going to be one of the most risky passive income investments out there. Not only do you have normal crypto risks like volatility, hacking, and the lending platform going bankrupt, but interest rates seem to only ever go down. It seems like every time that I talk about Celsius, the stablecoin rate has decreased another percent. In contrast, companies want to only ever increase or at least maintain their current dividends. Lowering dividends can ruin investor confidence and then tank the share price of the stock. But you may think that the long-term price increase potential for crypto balances out these additional risks. That call is up to you. Moving on, we have land and property. There are a lot of different options with this one. The first is the classic buying a rental property. Obviously, this is much easier said than done, especially if you're around my age. Property is expensive, it requires a good credit score to lock in a low interest rate mortgage, home prices are out of control right now, interest rates are finally going back up, etc. But in the ideal scenario, renting out properties is great. You get a consistent paycheck every month that you can use to pay off your mortgage while gaining equity in the process. Plus, you'll be making some profits off the top. In reality, the situation is a lot more active. You'll have to deal with issues like maintenance, late payments, and a whole range of other things. You can pay somebody else to manage your properties for you, but while that's more passive, it is going to eat into your income. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can make passive income with property and land. You can go the traditional rental route, you can list on Airbnb or similar platforms, and you can rent out land for event space or as a parking lot. Your imagination really is the only limit here. On the more interesting side, we also have arbitrage opportunities. This is the idea that you would rent property from somewhere else and then rent it out yourself for more than your rent, utilities, and other expenses per month. A popular example is Airbnb arbitrage. This is where you list the place that you're currently renting from somebody else on Airbnb to maximize daily ROI by renting the property out frequently. Of course, you would need a cooperating landlord who would not only let you do this, but then who wouldn't also go into just renting it out on Airbnb themselves. Similarly, there's opportunities like subletting or renting out different rooms in a house as a shared living space. Long-term, rental properties can be a great way to build up passive income streams, assuming you pay somebody else to deal with your properties. It has a high barrier to entry, and returns are not as predictable as with other investments. Because of that, the investment that you would need to make in order to return a certain amount of money per year is tough to quantify, but it does also provide wealth creation with increases in equity and with property prices. Plus, it can act as a store of value in tough economic conditions. Like with stocks and bonds, you can also go the fund route and buy into REITs. These are real estate investment trusts. They're basically companies that manage different properties. You buy into REITs like you would with mutual funds or ETFs. One cool feature is that they have to pay out at least 90% of their taxable income as dividends. REITs offer you a much more passive way to get into real estate investing rather than renting out your own properties. I'll likely cover these in their own videos someday. Next up, we have that very common passive income idea. Just start a business, bro. This category encompasses many different types of passive income, including side hustles. Let's start with the one everybody wishes that they could do: social media influencing. So obviously, I'm a content creator. One day, this video could become passive income in the sense that after it's been published, it could continue to earn me ad revenue without me doing any more work. But of course, I'm not even close to monetization yet, and there's a lot of active effort that goes into making the video in the first place. And very generally, this is something that I very much dislike about all of the passive income advice online. It tends to ignore how difficult it is to find an audience. Beyond social media content, you need an audience for basically any type of business or side hustle. This is the group of people who are going to be willing to buy your products or services. Now, while the internet makes this easier than ever, it's not like everybody is going to go viral overnight. Building an audience requires a lot of active effort, as does maintaining this relationship. And ultimately, turning a business or a side hustle into a truly passive income generating vehicle will require you to turn the operations over to somebody else. In the social media space, this simply cannot happen. You are the brand, so your time on camera and in content is directly related to your income. Within a more traditional business, we likely follow the assumption that the business is successful because of how we run it. Is there any guarantee that somebody else can do the same in order to keep the passive income flowing into your pockets? Not necessarily. So let's go through some different passive income ideas to figure out how feasible and passive they actually are. Write a book. This one requires you to be knowledgeable about a subject, or at least willing to do enough research. This likely means that you have to find some niche, and obviously you'll also need an audience. That's a lot of active work. Distribution is actually the easy part, since now you've got ebooks and online retail to cover that for you. Sell Sell an online course. This is another one that requires subject matter expertise, and people are probably much less likely to buy courses from people around my age. Making a course might not be very hard depending on the subject matter, but again, it can be a tough sell. License your photography, music, or writing. I do a little bit of this on the writing side, so I know that all of these are time intensive to create. It also requires you to find an audience or have a lot of hustle in the freelance space. And then it's impossible to franchise if people are coming to you for your style. Make an app. Been there, done that, didn't make a dime. But truly, that's another time sink, and it requires you to both know how to code and to find an audience that has the problem that you're trying to solve. Affiliate marketing. Well, I'm doing that one. It requires a lot of traffic to your links, but it can be pretty profitable if you are operating in a nice niche. Though it does require you to pretty actively promote your different product links, like the shipping supplies in my link tree, high yield savings accounts, and certificates of deposit. Alright, this one actually is pretty passive. You would just be making peanuts on your money. Ultimately, the best way to make some passive income is going to be through dividend stocks and high yield bonds. This is the strategy that I'm using, and it's where most of my passive income is coming from. It's as simple as investing in the market over time to grow your wealth, and then cashing out to buy some passive income generating investments. With that, make sure to invest in this video by growing that like button so that it can generate some passive interest in the YouTube algorithm. Are you making passive income right now? Will you be trying any of these ideas? What are some other passive income ideas? Let me know and comment down below. Click the video on screen to watch another that you're going to enjoy, and then please add some music, another form of passive income, or whatever else it is that you love to your day.